Hello, hola, namaste, ciao, and bonjour, everyone. Welcome to Wimpy Kid Virtually Live. Is everyone excited to be here? Okay, I like that. I'm Billy DiMichele. I'm your host for today, and we're coming to you live from New York City, where we've got some very excited Wimpy Kid fans with us today in the audience, and more than 1 million of you watching this special event in classrooms and at home in dozens of countries around the world, including the United Kingdom, Germany, Spain, Portugal, India, Canada, and Australia. New York, say a big hello to all the kids watching around the globe. And it's because of you, Wimpy Kid's biggest fans, that this multiple award-winning series has more than 165 million books in print in 49 languages since it was first published in 2007. That's a whole lot of books in a whole lot of languages, and that means a whole lot of reading fun. Now, I can see in the house here that some of you brought your books with you from home. Which one is your favorite? Old School, The Long Haul. I see some of their first books. That's really cool. It's so hard. It's so hard to pick a favorite, isn't it? They're all hysterical. And we could debate which book is the best all day long, but we've got a lot to cover today. Now, did you know that April is Wimpy Kid Month? We've been celebrating Greg and the gang all month long, and what a perfect way to cap off the month by revealing for the first time ever, right here on this stage, the cover of the 11th book. How excited are you about that? All right, I think it's high time, enough of me, it's high time that we bring out the guy who created Greg, Manny, Rowley, and the Cheese Touch. Do you guys agree? Yeah! All right, everybody, your favorite writer and cartoonist, Jeff Kinney!
How you doing? That's cool, man. Hi. Thanks so much for coming out. It's cool. Hey, Billy.
It's good to see you.
Sit right here?
Yeah, have a seat.
All right. Wow. Energy out there.
Yeah, there's a little energy out there.
It's cool.
It is so great to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, maybe 2 years.
Maybe 2 years, and you've been busy, and I know we're going to get to that. I guess I wanted to start it by I'm talking to you about this because it's almost the 10th anniversary of Wimpy Kid next year, and there's going to be a whole lot of celebrating going on. But right now, for everybody here, I want to sort of take us back those 10 years. I want to go back to the very beginning, because, you know, you studied computer science and criminal justice in college, and yet here you are, one of the most famous children's book writers in the world. What were you thinking then? How has it all changed for you now?
That's right. I studied criminal justice and computer science in college, and it didn't seem like my career was going towards cartooning. But what I really wanted to be was a newspaper cartoonist. That's what I was working on. So for a few years after college, I tried really hard to get my comic strip, into newspapers. I had a comic called Igdoof, but it didn't work out. Nobody liked it. So
nobody liked it?
No, nobody liked it.
I can't imagine that. I don't know why.
And then I became a children's author sort of by accident. I actually wrote Diary of a Wimpy Kid for grown-ups, and then it got picked up by my publisher as a book for kids. So happened by accident.
Lucky us.
All right.
Now, I think it would be terribly boring if I asked all the questions today, so we've asked some of our biggest fans, your biggest fans, to pitch in today. And our first question is a video question, and it is from a student in Poway, California. Let's take a look.
Cool. Right here.
My question for you is, which of your books do you think was the most successful?
That's good. That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I think the most successful book was the red one because it came out first, the very first Wimpy Kid book. And I think it's my favorite in a way because that had the Cheese Touch and Zooey Mama. And before that book, I hadn't had any success as a cartoonist. So that was a big one for me. I think the best written book is probably the 9th book, The Long Haul. I see a few of you guys have that one.
You guys have a lot of long hauls out there, yeah.
And we're really hoping to turn that one into a movie. So wouldn't that be fun, a Wimpy Kid road trip movie?
I think that's a great idea. So you can tell and you can tell. It's clearly this series has resonated with millions and millions of kids over the world. Now, I said earlier you've been a busy man this year. You went on a global tour this past year, right?
Yes.
Now we have I wanted you to talk about it, but I wanted to show a little footage, some of the highlights of that tour. Do you mind?
Yeah, let's see it.
Let's take a look at Jeff's global tour.
Which was my place and which was not. Thought I had a good shot. I took it right in my eye. Look ahead, look behind. Take another, I don't mind. Follow the signs right back to you. So past the graveyard, even the dead deserve a song. Let the moon do what she does. She don't need to make a fuss. She don't know she shines for us. Oh, something tells me that she does. Follow the signs right back to you, back to you.
That's really cool. You went everywhere.
We got around.
That was a lot of countries.
I feel exhausted just
I was
looking at
going to
that.
say, are you guys going to go back on tour again this year?
Yeah, we're going to, I think, 11 more countries this year, so I'm really excited about that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That is fun. And to see all those different cultures, and to see all the kids' excitement, it doesn't matter what language it is.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
It's cool at the end. You know, it's like I got back to my house in Plainville, Massachusetts. I'm a father. I've got 2 sons of my own, so it's really cool ending the
to
video.
come home. I know, it's perfect. It's a great video.
Yeah.
I've talked to so many writers in all the years I've been doing this, and one of the things that I always hear most is how often the writers talk to me and tell me that they draw from real life experiences when they create their characters. And one of your fans from Troy, Michigan, he has a question about that. Let's listen in.
Greg and Rowley crack me up. Where did you get the inspiration for those characters and their personalities? Were they based on someone you knew when you were in school?
Where did you get the inspiration for Greg and Rowley and their personalities? Were they based on someone you knew in school?
Yeah, I think that I'm like 80% Greg. He's all of my worst parts combined into one young person. And then Rowley he's kind of made up for the most part, but there's a little bit of my best friend from growing up in him. And we used to do really dumb things. Like we tried to build the world's biggest snowball. And as we did, just like in the first book, we started to roll up the lawn. So the grass all started getting torn up. So we had this giant brown and green meatball in our yard that was supposed to be the base of the world's biggest snowman, but it didn't work out.
It didn't work out.
It didn't work out.
You guys, so you were a bit of a prankster yourself. Okay. You know, You guys think these books are great, right? Yeah.
Thanks.
I think great books like yours turn kids into lifelong readers, and I really, really believe that. And I think that's because kids see themselves reflected in the characters and in the stories, and I think Greg is one of those characters that's so real and so relatable to so many kids. So we've asked, you haven't seen this, so this is a little surprise for you. We asked a few kids to tell us just how much Greg has been an inspiration to them and how much he's impacted their lives. Let's take a listen.
Cool.
Hi, Mr. Kinney. At this age, kids just want to be understood. Greg Heffley has made a huge impact in my life because he is the kid that I am today. He always gets the shorter end of the stick and understands what kids like us feel.
So, when I read your books, I felt like Greg was going through the same stuff as I was, and that I wasn't alone. Whenever I read a Diary of a Wimpy Kid book, all that stress that was coming from school or my house would all just flood away as humor.
I have to say, Greg is responsible for making me love reading. After I read the first book, I was hooked on it.
My favorite part from one of your books is when Greg says that he can live without his mother's notes on his lunch. I can live without my dad's notes on my lunch. Greg Heffley is a very relatable character because I can really sympathize with him.
He's not perfect. He's simply an ordinary kid like us, and that's what makes him special.
Your books made an impact on me because Greg is just like a regular guy, regular problems like me, not a super famous person.
I just wanted to let you know how much I've enjoyed the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. Greg has done a lot to help me learn about choosing friends wisely. In the book Hard Luck, I've learned the meaning of friendship.
So I think the way Diary of a Wimpy Kid has affected me is that I found someone who I think is who I am similar to. Like, I feel like I'm Greg Heffley. We both hate getting out of the bed in the morning. We both love to play video games, and we both get picked on in our neighborhood.
Reading your books has taught me to love book series. I like seeing new experiences and adventures and characters. Like when Greg has a problem with Rowley in Hard Luck and when he has a problem at Camp and Old School. I wonder what problems he will have in the next book.
So thank you, Greg, for showing us that ordinary, normal people can be the best superheroes ever.
That's very
Love
cool.
that.
Awesome.
I know,
That's
and
really
I'm
awesome.
sure, and I'm sure when you're traveling, you must hear this so often. It's got to be one of the most gratifying things.
It's so crazy. You know, I'm writing these books in isolation in my house in Plainville, and whenever I'm writing the book, I feel so much doubt. Like, is this going to be funny? And then when I get out into the world and get to meet kids who are reading it, it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. I think that's probably a great part of this. Here's another great thing about your books, and I think everybody will agree, they're funny.
Thanks.
I think your books are hysterical. You inhabit so many voices so convincingly and with such real humor. And you know, there's a lot of research out there that talks about humor and kids and reading. The Scholastic Kids and Family Reading Report says 70% of kids said that they want to read books that make them laugh. They want to be entertained. And that's the subject of our next question.
All right.
Ready?
When you're writing your books, are you trying to teach a lesson to other kids, or are you just trying to entertain?
Are you trying to entertain?
I'm not trying to teach a lesson to kids. Not that I shouldn't, but I think that kids get a lot of that. You know, parents teach lessons, teachers teach lessons. I think my books, if there is a lesson, it's that reading is fun. Like that, you know, I want a kid to open my book. I don't want it to feel like work. I want it to feel like fun. And then I want the kid to read my books and then move on to something bigger and better, more challenging. So I think that if there's any lesson I want people to take away is that reading's fun.
Reading is fun. I think, don't you guys agree that reading is fun? Yeah. Wait a minute. Isn't reading fun? I think for so many kids tuning in today, they actually dream of becoming writers. And I think that's why I love this question so much.
I was wondering, did you realize you wanted to write books for kids when you were in high school, college, or even later?
Yeah, I like I said, I became a kids author really on accident. I decided that I wanted to become an author after I realized I couldn't get my comics into newspapers. I said, I feel like I'm born to be a cartoonist, but I don't know where to put my cartoons.
Right.
And so I put them into books. And so that's how I was lucky enough to be successful in doing that.
You know, I think a lot of kids are thinking, this is something I might want to do. And so they're looking at authors like you and reading your books and thinking, this is something I want to do one day. And I think that's another great thing about how inspirational these books can be for kids down the road in terms of their dreams and what it is they might want to do.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of books like Wimpy Kid now, and I think that there are lots of different stories to tell in that format.
Yeah.
You know, with some text and some illustrations or some cartoons.
Well, that leads me to my next question, and I think everybody in the house is going to be really excited about this. On the subject of writing, let's talk about how you create a book.
Okay.
All right? For example, do you everything by hand with pen and ink?
No, I use a computer, and I actually brought it with me today,
Okay.
so I'd be happy to show you that.
Let's go to the computer.
Okay.
We're going to watch Jeff create a book. How's
Okay.
that? Well, not really a whole book, but
All right.
here we go.
Well, it all starts with the writing. So to get into the voice of the character, I actually start by just typing. So you saw I had the first line of my first book there. First of all, let's get something straight, right? And so now, to get into the voice of Greg, I actually use a font that I created of my own handwriting, right? And it's the font that's Greg's voice. So that really helps me get into the character.
So the actual, this is an original font?
Right, it's
Okay.
an original font that I created with my own handwriting.
Okay.
So why don't you tell me,
All right.
Give me the start of a story, and you'll see how it plays out.
All right, let me see. It was already 11 a.m.
All right.
and Rowley and I had not gotten into trouble yet,
Okay.
but that was all about to change.
Okay. And I hadn't even gotten into trouble yet?
Yep. So this is your original font. You created this font.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, so you can see, by the way, that's a great hook. That's really going to get a kid into
Is
the
it?
story,
Okay.
right? And so I really like that. That's a really, really good way to start
And
a
we
story.
still have no pen for you.
We have no pen. So what we're going to do is, I was going to show you how my drawings are done,
Okay.
but I'm going to show you sort of a rough draft of what the drawings look
Okay.
like. Okay. We'll get something working here. All right. So,
And do you work on this? This is the template you work on,
Yeah.
right? This big.
and you can see this is what my drawings look like in rough format, right? So when I'm working on my drawings, I do these really kind of sloppy, rough drawings because I'm in a rush. This is like if I was a normal cartoonist, I would actually be using pencil and paper, pen and ink. So these would be my sketches. These would be my pencil sketches. So I'm giving you kind of a peek into book 10
Right.
when the drawings weren't finished yet.
So this is actually from book 10.
This is actually
Okay.
from book 10.
Yeah, it
In
is,
fact,
yeah.
it's the first drawing
Right.
from book 10. So I'll show you some of the others. Right, here's where Greg's neighbors are peeking in on him.
Right.
Right? Let's see. If you look, each one of these drawings represents about 1 hour of work.
So each of these is an hour. and
Each
these-
one's an hour. This one probably took about 3 hours.
Right.
Because it was so complex.
Right.
But you'll see, if you look at this kid over here to the left who's jumping out of his seat,
Right.
I really drew him almost like a stick figure because I knew that when I went over everything with my pen in ink at the end, this will represent ink on the screen, that I would know how to draw him. But you're getting a peek into my drawing
So
process.
this is what you do. You go through the whole book this way?
Yes.
Okay.
And what I do is each one of these drawings takes about an hour on average.
Yeah.
And by the time I'm done with the whole book, it's taken me about 350 hours to do all of the drawings. And usually I do that inside of about a month and a half, believe it or not.
So you concentrate all of the drawing
Yes.
in about a month,
Yep.
a month and a half.
So sometimes I'm drawing as many as 17 hours a day. I'll sit there and eat my meals at the desk and everything.
Wow.
So that's how you draw a book.
One other question. So I know kids probably ask you this. Words, drawings, which comes first, or does it?
Yep, jokes come first.
Jokes come first.
Then the words.
Yeah.
And then the drawings at the very end.
So jokes, words, drawings.
Yeah.
All right. Pretty cool, right, you guys?
Yep.
We've got a lot more questions from kids to get to, so I'm going to turn to my fellow young journalists. We have a question. I believe we have our first question in the audience, and there you are. Tell us your name.
My name is Declan.
Hi, Declan. How are you?
Good.
Nice to see you. What school are you from?
Academy of St. Joseph.
Hi. Well, welcome. Do you have a question for Jeff?
Mr. Kinney, how involved were you in the movies?
The movies.
We've made 3 movies so far. I was very involved for an author. Sometimes an author is just, they just sign the rights over and then they show up for the premiere. I was actually there for casting, I helped with the writing, and I was there for about half of each film, for about half of each shoot. In this next film, I've gotten involved in the writing, so I'm really excited because I've never really gotten to do that in a big way before. So this is really exciting. So I hope it gets made.
There are 3 films, right? And so there's a 4th in the works?
We're talking about it. Fingers crossed.
Okay, fingers crossed, everybody, that there's a 4th movie. This next question I love because if you guys really listen, it's not in English. I think that's going to be pretty clear. It's from all the way in Toronto, Canada, and make sure to read the subtitles, okay? Let's listen in.
Salut Jeff, j'aime beaucoup Journal d'un dégonflé. Je sais que tu es vraiment bon écrivain et artiste et que tu es vraiment drôle. Mais dis-moi, est-ce que tu as un talent secret?
You have a secret talent. Okay.
I don't know if I have a non-secret, I don't know if I have any talent. However, if I had a secret talent, I'd say it's juggling. I used to juggle for halftime shows in college.
Wow, I'm tempted to bring out 3 of something for you to juggle with.
No, you find out I was, 3 glasses of water.
3 glasses of water, could you do? Yeah. So you're a juggler.
A little bit.
I love this next question. I think it's one of my favorite questions. I'm sure you may have heard it before, but for me, this was my favorite. Let's listen in.
I have a question for you. Will Greg ever get a girlfriend who likes him?
Will Greg? What do you guys think? Do you think Greg will ever get a girlfriend who likes him?
I have a question for the girls.
Wait.
To the girls, does Greg deserve to get a girlfriend? Mix.
Well, let's do a show of hands.
Right.
Who thinks Greg deserves a girlfriend?
Not me.
Who thinks he doesn't?
Right, more. Yeah. One of the things I did in the Wimpy Kid books, remember that this is Greg's journal or diary. So all of the information is coming from Greg. So actually when Greg draws girls, they mostly look the same, right? And the reason for that is because Greg doesn't really get girls yet. That's how I felt as a kid, Greg's age. I didn't really get girls, so they're sort of a little bit of a mystery to him. So only a few of the girls really stand out, like Patty Farrell and Ruby Bird. So I think I'm going to create a new female character for this next book. I think Greg needs a partner in school, like to do a project with.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
Yeah.
We have another question from the audience, and let's go back to the audience. Tell us your name.
My name is Benjamin.
Hi, Benjamin. How are you?
Good.
What school are you from?
St. Paul.
Hi. Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here. What's your question for Jeff?
Why are there always 217 pages in your books?
That's a really good question.
That's a mystery, huh? Well, the first book came out. It was 217 pages long. It just happened to be that way. And I said, from now on, all of my books, I want them to be exactly the same width because I like the way they look on the shelf.
Yeah.
Like they're all the same.
The spines are all exactly, yeah.
A lot of your other series, they grow and shrink, and I just want them to all be the same. And I'm glad I made that choice.
It's a good choice, yeah.
Thank you.
I think that sometimes when the going gets rough, when things get a little difficult and challenging, we all have the tendency to want to give up. That's why I like the next question, because it speaks to this idea about not giving up. So let's listen in.
I have a question for you. So I have heard that it took you 8 years, that's almost as old as I am, to create and to publish this amazing book. How did you have the perseverance to take on this challenge?
8 years. She's almost as old as her.
I think the truth is that I was so sure that I was going to fail that I really wanted to take my time. Because I spent 3 years trying to get my newspaper cartoons syndicated and didn't have any success. I didn't even get any feedback from anybody. I just got a rejection letter. And so I was so sure that I was going to fail again that I wanted to prolong the rejection. You know, I wanted to push it out as far as possible.
Like, I'm just going to keep drawing, because if I keep drawing and writing, it's never going to get rejected.
I'm not getting rejected, right?
I don't think it got rejected.
No, I got lucky.
Not Wimpy Kid, right? Yeah.
I got lucky with that one.
So it took you almost 8 years to get published, and now almost a decade, right? 10 years in, almost 11 books, 3 movies, maybe we hope for. There's a new iteration of Wimpy Kid out there. It's a stage musical. There's a stage musical of Wimpy Kid, and we want to show you guys for the first time ever a clip of this stage musical. Take a look.
All right.
First of all, let me get something straight. This is a journal, not a diary.
Stuck in the middle. Stuck in the middle. Your backpack and your back against the wall. That's what's the matter. Always the matter. Keep on see me. Stuck in the middle. Stuck in the middle. Your backpack and your back against the wall. That's what's the matter. Always the matter. Keep on I belong here in the middle. In the box here in the middle. I'm stuck here in the middle. The middle of it all. The middle of it all. The middle of it all.
It's very cool.
This is actually now, it's playing now at Children's Theater Company in Minneapolis,
In
right?
Minneapolis. It's really good. It really, really is cool. It's very funny.
I think it looks fantastic. We all have to go to Minneapolis right now to see it if we can.
Right.
Or hopefully it'll come
Hopefully it'll come to
around.
us,
Yeah.
right?
We have just a couple more questions before, you see the big question mark over there? Do we all know what's behind there, right? Yeah. We have just a couple more questions before the big reveal.
All right.
Guys, you got to listen to this one. It's in Spanish, so check out the subtitles again with this next question.
En algunos de tus libros ha habido cosas asquerosas y estábamos pensando si esas cosas te han pasado en la vida real. Por ejemplo, el queso o el moco.
All right, cheese and boogers. That's what it's come to? Yeah. I've been a published author for 9 years, and we're talking about cheese and boogers.
Cheese and boogers.
The cheese, yes. We had cheese on our church playground, right under the hoop. And nobody would play on this basketball court because there was a piece of cheese there. And it became mythic. Like, I think in every school, there's something. Like, one of these chairs in here is probably orange instead of red, and nobody will sit in the orange chair, because you don't want to get the orange chair touch. Boogers, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, well.
Something like that happened in college where a booger was put on a note. I was not the victim of that, nor the supplier of the booger. But it did happen. So a lot of the things in Wimpy Kid come from real life.
I'm a big fan of boogers. I think
Good.
I think they're fun.
I'll be sitting over here.
Okay,
Don't
so-
shake his hand.
Yeah,
guys.
don't shake my hand later.
Right,
You
yeah.
do realize that you actually have a lot of older fans out there, and this next question is from one of them. Although I might say he's more of a kid at heart.
Okay.
Here's a surprise question for you.
Surprise.
Hey Jeff, I know you're a big prankster because you're always pulling pranks on me. Can you tell me what was the biggest prank you ever pulled when you were a kid?
That was Dave Pilkey, the creator of the Captain Underpants series and the Dogman series, which is coming up. And Dave Pilkey happens to be a good friend of Jeff, so he wants to know about you as a prankster. I actually want to know too.
Yes, Dave's what a good guy.
He's a great guy.
His work is brilliant. I
Yeah.
love his stuff. Yes, I used to torture my younger brother Patrick. I used to tell him all sorts of lies. You know, I think that's the job of an older brother, to tell younger brothers lies. So I actually told him that we were going to sell him, right, on his 7th birthday, that my family was going to sell him, right? Oh, you know, just sell him away. And he didn't believe me. And then I told him to go look at the family calendar, and he flipped to his birthday, and it just said, "Sell Patrick." Right? So that made it into one of the books.
And it ruined him.
Yes, it ruined him. He's still in hiding.
I was a big prankster. I was the youngest, and I only had sisters, so I was a giant prankster.
Right,
So
that's cool.
I can tell you a few of the big pranks I did. I know, in seriousness, how much you believe that books can open a world of possible for kids. You've gotten millions of kids reading with Wimpy Kid, and you're about to reach even more with a really cool new venture, and I'm really excited to talk to you about this. You've opened a bookstore in your adopted hometown of Plainville, Massachusetts, which is about 40 miles from Boston. Tell us a little bit about this incredible bookstore and why you called it An Unlikely Story. The name of the bookstore is An Unlikely Story.
Great. And I think we have some
We
slides.
have some, yeah,
to
we have
show
some
you.
pictures of it.
So
Yeah.
let's take a look. The old building, this was a building that was there. It's called Falk's Market. It was there from 1856. I wasn't alive back then. Were you?
I don't think I was
okay,
alive
right.
back then, no.
All right, I wasn't alive back then. But when we moved into town, it looked like this. Let's look at the next slide. So it looked old and beat up, and it kind of stood for our town.
Yeah.
So my wife and I, when Diary of a Wimpy Kid became successful, we said, oh, we could afford to buy that, so let's tear it down, build something new. So we did, and you can look at the next slide. And so that's what the bookstore looks like now, right?
That's pretty fantastic.
And
That's really fantastic.
thanks. Let's look at the back of the building. And so it's a really fun place, and we'll keep going here. Inside, it's kind of magical. You know, we want it to feel like a bookstore should feel. And what's really cool is we get all these authors, and we've had Dave Pilkey, Captain Underpants, and the guy who did Big Nate and Timmy Failure, and lots of other authors.
Wow.
And we'll keep taking a look. Oh, this is upstairs in my studio. I have a studio. This is where I create the Wimpy Kid books now. And I have a statue of Scrooge McDuck, and that's made by my favorite cartoonist, Carl Barks, who wrote in the 1940s and 50s.
And so your studio now is on the 2nd floor of the bookstore.
Yeah.
And that's where you work.
On the 3rd floor.
On the 3rd floor, okay.
And I'll show you some more pictures here. So that's my studio inside of that curved glass. We'll keep going. So there's another look. I have this giant kind of ring above my desk, and that's where I have my drawing tablet. And everything's colorful. We wanted to make it really colorful.
That is so cool.
So I think there's one more picture. Yeah, that's my desk. That's where I work. So we're going to open this up to the public soon so that kids can come and sit at my desk and draw on my computer and get to feel what it's like to be an author.
That is really cool. And the new bookstore is called An Unlikely Story.
An Unlikely Story, because we thought it was a very strange story that this general store became a bookstore, and you know it's a weird story, so it's very unlikely.
But it's a great story. And you're about to add a new book to your shelves.
Yes, I'm hoping so, yes.
Yeah, and it's going to be in shelves around the world, and we're all on edge of our seats right now with anticipation, because today, right here on this stage, for the first time, we're going to reveal the cover of the 11th book in the Wimpy Kid series.
Yeah.
Now, I asked you, are you guys excited to see the cover?
That's cool.
I think it's time we walk
time.
over to here and show them the
All right,
cover.
let's
What
do
do you
this.
say? Are you guys
All right.
excited? Yeah? All right. So the cover is right under here. Do you guys want us to show it to you?
Billy, before we do, maybe we should take like a half an hour break, commercial break?
Well, you know what? We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back.
How about right now?
All right. I haven't been this excited since the last book, so I think.
That's cool.
I think, can we have a drum roll?
All right.
Drum roll, ready? Okay, here we go.
So
ready? 1, 2, 3, and here it is! Wimpy Kid, double down.
Yeah. And what do you see here?
Huh?
It's the cheese.
It's the cheese.
Right. Maybe the cheese will make a return in this book.
This is a most exceptional cover indeed. And you know what? We actually have a sneak peek of this cover in multiple languages from around the world. Let's take a look. We have it in a bunch of different languages. Take a look at this. And that's just a few of them, right? That's pretty cool. I mean, it must be interesting seeing the titles in these odd languages
wild.
You can't
It's
read.
wild.
I know. All right, so the big question of the day: what does this cover reveal about what's inside? Can you tell us anything about the book? Can you share anything?
I'll tell you a little bit. I like to keep it as a surprise, but you can see that Greg is sort of getting overloaded. His problems become too much for him. If you look at this book, it's red, it's bright red, and that's meant to actually reflect the first book in the series, which was also red, a darker red.
Right.
And on that first cover, Greg is sort of weighed down by his backpack, and in this cover, it just becomes too much for him. So everything is kind of getting doubly hard for Greg.
Double down.
Yes.
I love this cover. Do you guys love this cover?
Good.
How excited are you to read it? Yeah, me too. Well, you have heard it from the man himself. Diary of a Wimpy Kid Double Down is available at Scholastic Reading Club, in book fairs, and in stores in more than 90 countries around the world on November 1st, November 1. So mark your calendars, everybody. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for this amazing series, for a decade of laughs, and for all of the work you've done getting millions of kids reading. All right. The final message of the day. You guys remember, right? Are we going to do it together? You ready? Okay, the final message of the day. Be big, be bold, be wimpy. Bye-bye, everybody.